Alright guys, and welcome back. My name is DFree, and for today's video we have some breaking news. So first and foremost, you might have seen this already floating around. We're going to talk about this, but there is another data mine featuring some new stuff similar to this that could potentially be hinting towards the next upcoming character. So first and foremost, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe, stick around for some more content like this and gameplay videos. Whatever's coming out, we'll have you covered, especially if leaks come out early. We'll be talking about that as well. That being said, huge shout out to Pochita here on DB Legends JPN Twitter. Also Spoon, we'll get to him in a second. So let me talk about this first. This is an interesting card. It's very interesting. So everybody's already speculating that we're going to be getting the tag Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Vegeta. Now, here's the deal. If you've been a long time subscriber of the channel, I have advocated for a fusing quote unquote character for a long time, for years. I have said, hey, it just makes sense, right? Especially once they showed us the assist characters, I was like, I feel like you can maybe just make them do a main ability and just switch this to another character. Conceptually, it's no different than how a character transforms. You just put a different model in there when they transform. It doesn't make it, like, I'm sure there's a little more to it, but it doesn't seem like it'd be that difficult to program, and they could have done this years ago. And that really hit a boiling point when we got the tag characters last year, right? Goku and Vegeta introducing that mechanic, and it's like, okay, well, come on now, it's clearly going there. So now people are speculating that we're not only getting tag SS4s, we might be getting a fusing tag SS4. Now, the issue with this is that in order to really make this happen, tag characters need like a main ability, or I guess something could trigger automatically, but most likely they need a main ability, right? And they don't have access to that because their main ability is just their switch, right? So that's kind of how things are right now. But if you created something separate, which we'll talk about in a second, that may be the avenue to getting that done. Now, this is an interesting card. This is an Ultimate and an Awakened Arts card in one. First and foremost, we never, ever, ever, ever see Awakened Arts cards. They are so rare. They always get a call out in those unique abilities or whatever, that buff ultimate damage, such move damage, Awakened Art damage. Those are so super duper rare that they have always been largely irrelevant for a long time. I think like Chaozu's explosion was like the only one in the game. Maybe some Cybermen have something similar. Anyways, I want to pull up Red Bojack because he is probably to this day been the most relevant one, because his transformation was actually tied to a special arts card, right? So he didn't actually, like, it's listed as an ultimate. I guess it's kind of an ultimate. It hit really hard, couldn't kill though, which was really annoying. But his transformation was tied to that. So the interesting thing here is these are typically cards that function in the same space. I mean, we just had an example for Bojack. So really, I'm curious what this even could mean. Like, I don't know. Okay, maybe the ultimate, maybe this is where the automatic sense is, right? Maybe this ultimate here, or this card draw here, is just that they draw this card, which, for the record, if it's a tag character, without a main ability or something, there's no way to get this. Unless they automatically just draw it or whatever, like Gogeta can do when he is last man, he can draw another ultimate. There's no way to get this under normal means. But lately, they've just been creating stuff for broken characters, right? So hear me out. Maybe when they use this, it's very similar to Bojack's effect, where Bojack just transforms after the ultimate, basically, right? It's pretty much what happens with Bojack. So that could be what's happening there. But if that's the case, would they just change Bojack's Awakened Arts card to look similar to this as well? I don't know. I feel like that would have happened already in game. Maybe it has, and the site's out of date. I don't know. But anyways, moving on. So the next thing we're going to talk about that you probably haven't seen too much of, because it just kind of popped up over the last hour or so from Spoon here, is these icons. Now, this is very, very interesting. He says it's a new unique gauge icon of a glass of time, or the hourglass, or whatever they're called, right? So here's some more HD non-zoomed in looks at it. So if you're not familiar, characters that have unique gauges in the game, at first they didn't have any icons. They weren't type based. But unique gauges have become type-based, and they have the icons in there. For your melee characters, they'll have like the fist icon in there, and so on and so forth. Now, this is going to be another variation on unique gauges. And basically what's happening here is this for one, anytime we get a new variation on this, that just means that eventually more characters will get it, for the record. So that's interesting too. But on top of that, this could tie in to the initial part that we just talked about. They may actually finally have found a way to do assist fusing character, and that may be what this all kind of leads into. Now, here is the less hot take version of what I think this is. Are you ready? So what this is it's an hourglass, obviously, meaning that it counts down to something. Maybe after X amount of counts, you have something trigger, or you have the character get another card or something like that. For example, I talked about how this card naturally, with the way that the game is set up currently, for assuming it's tied to a tag character. If it's just on a regular like LF or something, that's entirely different. You don't have to say, well, they can't get this. But the way the game's currently designed, there's no means to get this card. However, if you created a tag character with 2 gauges, because the tag characters have the gauge on the main ability, but they don't have the unique gauge on the side like the MUIs do, for example. If you created that type of character to where when that gauge is full and that gauge would have this icon in it, you draw that card or whatever, then that's something that could happen potentially. Also, like say for example, it fills up, then you draw this card, and this card transforms you to Gogeta, and then as you are transformed, the other one with it, I assume one of these is for it to go up, and one of it's for remaining time versus how much time you need, if that makes sense to you. But after you trigger it, after it pops for you, you get a certain boost and or transformation for X amount of time, and then when it's done, your gauge is empty, then you revert back, right? That may be what they're doing here. So if you're following me, if these two are tied into one character, assuming it's a tag character specifically, it doesn't have to be a tag, I guess. It could just be a unique gauge character, really. But my trepidation is that if that's the case, then you don't. I mean, this is just extra. Then this card has no real meaning to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no real meaning to this card. If it's not something crazy, it just doesn't really mean anything. It's just an ultimate or an awaken, or both. Maybe they change icons for characters existing in the game. Anyways, so basically, you just have a unique gauge on a character, and then when it's full, they get X amount of boost or whatever, and then when it's done, that boost goes away. And that boost could be including some sort of transformation, if that is where we're going. But I want to hear you guys' thoughts, because I may be giving a little bit too much thought to this. I don't want to overshoot the idea. And I also don't want to get hopes too high, because everybody is saying, like, you know, fusion, this and that, and all that in these comments for these couple of posts and other posts on these data mines and stuff that I've seen. I don't want to get hopes too high. I'm just explaining a way for something that they could do, and something I have wanted them to do for years. And I think, here's the deal. I think they will. If they don't do it here, they will do it eventually. It's the most obvious, most logical next step up for them, because they have to keep on creating stuff, not just mechanics and characters. Hello, Beast, Gohan, and Pan with the stupid stuff they made up for you guys. Not just mechanics and characters, but mechanics in game, to keep people interested as they keep on progressing in the years and so on and so forth. They will ultimately slow down eventually a little bit with some of that, but I think right now they're still at the stage where they're trying to figure out what they can really do, how far they can really push the limits of this game and their animations and stuff like that. So I do think eventually a fusion sort of mechanic will happen. But if these are not what we're thinking they are for today's video, I'm going to conclude with this. I've already talked about what they kind of could be, but I am curious to see when this finally comes out. Now, obviously, again, the most obvious time for this stuff to come out is for Legends Festival. It's really, really obvious that this is most likely going to happen there. And I don't want to downplay this, because I think there's probably more to this than I give it credit for. But I'm more interested in this than I am with that, right? I'm more interested in these here. So I'm going to go ahead and conclude there, everyone. Let me know your thoughts. First and foremost, do you think that they're finally going to give us a tag Super Saiyan 4 fusion character, or a tag fusion character in and of itself? Next, do you think it'll just be a main ability fusion character, right? Because the main ability, like assist characters, So tags are cooler conceptually, way cooler and way better than assist characters. However, assist characters actually have the main ability. So again, unless they're changing the way the game is played, literally, things have to function differently, and I don't really know how they could really make it happen. So let me know what you guys think is going to wind up happening, and also, do you just think that these don't really mean anything? I mean, they mean something. You can't say they mean nothing. They'll be implemented. We'll see them eventually, but do you think they don't mean anything right now? Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you next time.